What if literally everything you've ever been told about intelligence is a lie? Welcome to This Explainer. Right out of the gate, we're uncovering a seriously jarring, life-changing truth. Getting smarter? It isn't some genetic lottery ticket you just cash in at birth. No, it's a set of deliberate daily actions. It's not about having a supercomputer for a brain. It's about knowing the exact secret codes to program the perfectly capable computer you already have sitting right there in your head.
We constantly look at brilliant people, like an elite coder, a virtuoso musician, or a visionary scientist, and we naturally just assume, oh, they're built differently. We think they possess some kind of untouchable magic. But what if everything we've been taught about the born genius is completely wrong? The latest science is literally screaming at us that intelligence is an action. It's not a stagnant trait you're just stuck with.
For years, traditional schooling prioritized what we call crystallized intelligence, basically memorizing facts for a test. And honestly, that's exactly why school doesn't necessarily make you smarter. It completely ignores fluid intelligence. This is your dynamic, biological ability to reason logically, identify complex patterns, and adapt to completely novel problems. This fluid ability, that is the real engine of genius.
And this brings us to a massive curiosity gap. Early scientists honestly thought fluid intelligence was relatively fixed, that you were literally just stuck with the brain you were born with. But modern research says absolutely no way. So if we aren't stuck, how exactly do we trigger this biological upgrade? Like, how do we literally build a smarter brain?
Section 1. Rewiring your brain's hardware. Let's dive in. The foundational secret to all of this is neuroplasticity. This proves your brain's structure is incredibly dynamic. It actually physically changes its shape, its density, and its pathways every single time you grapple with a difficult, uncomfortable new concept. You know that frustration you feel when you're trying to learn something hard? That is quite literally the awe-inspiring sensation of your brain rewiring its own hardware.
Leading neuroscience researchers like Dr. Barbara Oakley and Dr. Terence Sajanowski have shown us that intelligence is absolutely not a state of being. It's a continuous biological construction project. Your brain has around 1 billion synapses, and with modern imaging, we can actually watch new synapses forming in real time as you learn. You are quite literally not the exact same person today that you were yesterday.
And the crazy part is, simple habits create profound physical changes. Recent neurological studies reveal that a habit like deep reading actively alters your brain. It physically thickens a region called Heschl's gyrus and boosts the white matter known as myelin. Think of myelin like biological insulation on your neural pathways. It dramatically accelerates how fast your brain processes information. You read a book and your brain literally speeds up its internal Wi-Fi.
So, okay, we have the raw materials to rewire our brains. But this raises a really critical question for anyone struggling to focus in our digital age. How do we build these neural pathways when our phones are buzzing every 2 seconds, our attention spans are completely shattered, and we are just so deeply addicted to distraction?
Section 2. The focus and distraction paradox. Here's the good news. You don't need endless, exhausting willpower to become smart. You just need the Pomodoro Technique. Think of it as a mental cheat code. You set a timer for 25 minutes, turn off every single interruption, and focus entirely on the process of working, not the final product. And when that timer goes off, you give yourself a tiny, guilt-free reward. It totally tricks your zombie-like procrastination habits into working for you instead of against you. By setting up structured routines like this, you're actually taking control of your brain's chemical drivers. You're hacking your own neurochemistry. You use acetylcholine to lock in focused learning. You utilize dopamine to predict that sweet reward at the end of your 25 minutes, which pulls you toward long-term goals instead of those cheap social media thrills that just leave you feeling kind of brain dead. Basically, you become the master of your brain's chemistry.
Now, we've established how to focus intensely, right? But what if I told you that one of the most active, genius-level states for your brain actually happens when you are seemingly entirely distracted?
Moving on to part 3, unlocking the diffuse mind.
I want you to think of your brain as a giant pinball machine. The focused mode has these tight neural bumpers. It traps your thoughts in familiar, comfortable spaces to solve problems you already understand. But the diffuse mode has widely spaced bumpers. When you relax, take a warm shower, or go for a walk, your thoughts bounce wildly, connecting completely new, creative ideas across totally different parts of your brain. To truly build intelligence, you've got to aggressively alternate between these two states. Consider historical icons like the surrealist painter Salvador Dali and the brilliant inventor Thomas Edison.
These guys were basically early biohackers. They would intentionally sit in a chair holding keys or ball bearings. As they dozed off, their mind entered that wide-open, diffuse state. And just as they fell asleep, the objects would drop, clatter to the floor, and wake them right up. They'd instantly harvest the brilliant, bizarre ideas generated by their resting brains. Pure genius. So, taking brief breaks is incredibly powerful. Taking 5 minutes to reflect at the end of the day is kind of like watering a mental garden. But what exactly happens when we finally close our eyes and fully go to sleep?
Which brings us to Section 4, the ultimate biological cheat codes. Listen closely because sleep is absolutely not a passive offline mode. It is an active, highly aggressive deep clean. When you're awake, toxic metabolic poisons literally build up in your brain. But when you sleep, your brain cells physically shrink. This incredible transformation creates space for fluid to rush in and wash all those toxins away. Trying to learn without sleep is literally like trying to drive a car with sugar in the gas tank.
And alongside sleep, physical exercise acts as a complete miracle upgrade. Seriously, you want a pill to make you smarter? It's called putting on your running shoes. Exercise completely outperforms any smart drug on the market by generating brand new, healthy neurons right in your hippocampus. That's the brain center responsible for long-term memory and learning. Okay, so we now understand exactly how the hardware works. We know about neuroplasticity, the power of the diffuse mind, and the nightly deep clean of sleep. But the ultimate question still remains. How do we apply this incredible science to our daily lives, starting right now? The final section, building your brilliant mind. Here is your playbook. You can start implementing these scientifically backed habits today. Don't think of these as chores. Think of them as literal workouts at a mental gym. Try a jigsaw puzzle with 500 or more pieces to lock in that visual and spatial focus. Read deeply to thicken your brain's white matter. Use the Pomodoro Technique to laugh right in the face of procrastination. Space your learning out over a few days instead of cramming to let the neural mortar dry. Take 5 minutes to reflect nightly. Sweat a little bit every day to grow those new neurons. And never, ever sacrifice your sleep.
If you ever doubt yourself, just remember the story of Santiago Ramon y Cajal. Back in the 1860s, he was a jailed, rebellious, juvenile delinquent. He was absolutely not a born genius. But he eventually won the Nobel Prize and became the literal father of modern neuroscience. How? Simply by taking responsibility for his own learning and using sheer perseverance to slowly, methodically build his neurocircuits. He proved to the world that anyone can change their own brain. We're going to end this explainer with the most liberating scientific truth you will ever learn about yourself. You are the architect. Intelligence isn't something you're born with. It's something you build, one decision at a time. So what decision will you make today to build yours?